Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with the Spirit of Truth. And the Spirit of Truth comes with extensions of the truths that were not revealed until now. This book, Spirit of Truth, was psychographed by two mediums, Waldo Vieira and Chico Xavier, in Brazil, and they psychographed in 1960. In 61, it was published. And 60 years later, we're here at Kardec Radio releasing to you firsthand the free translation into English. It is so important because nowadays, many people are suffering from lack of truth. I hear daily people talking about conspiracy theories about vaccine. We don't want to be that ignorant, dear friends. We in Spiritism, we are very pro-science. As a scientist myself, I understand that what the spirits told Kardec is true. If science says something that is against what we say, leave us and stay with science. And to date, we have never heard anything saying anything contradictory in Spiritism. But when we are talking about the pandemic, it's vital that you and I join forces and vaccinate and tell people to vaccinate as well. Kardec Radio is starting a campaign very soon to raise awareness on the importance of vaccine for COVID-19 and helping people understand how important it is. It is vital. It's about life saving. Yes, it is. And talking about saving matters and issues, here we are. We're talking about our very body. Yes. Andrea Luiz, the spirit doctor in the books No Solar, The Messenger, and Life Goes On, Liberation, and many others. He himself learned that he abused his body without noticing. He became a suicide because he ate too much. He misused his sexual forces, and he didn't actually preserve his health to the best of his abilities. Did you know about indirect suicide? When we eat more than we should, and it uses a quantity of vital fluids that is the fuel that connects us, the spirits, through the perispirit to the physical body, connects the perispirit to the physical body. If we are not disciplined enough, we are going to be resenting it spiritually as well. So that's why today, our dear Andrea Luiz, inspired in a passage by the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 13, item 8, talking about how important it is to think of others as well, not only ourselves. He has a very practical 10 bullet points to tell us about the pleading of the stomach. It's as if our stomach is talking to us. How is your relationship with your body? Because it's important to teach our children from day one to have a good relationship with their body, to understand that their body is not them, but it's precious, without which we wouldn't be reincarnated, right? So here we are. Our physical body is an instrument, and we want to hear it. We want to understand it. It's like a car. We need to put fuel. We need to change the oil. We need to always take care of the matters of the car to make sure it is running well and we are safe. Now, let us hear from the stomach and understand what it's saying to us. Number one, says Andre Luiz, I am the door of your sustenance. Keep me clean. Well, what is to keep our stomachs clean, right? Because we don't wash it, or do we? Well, when we hydrate ourselves, we kind of do. When we eat proper foods, we are doing the same, right? So keep the stomach clean from junk food. First lesson, because the stomach is the door of our physical sustenance. Two, I can work safely. Do not incline me to disorder. So think about it. Any excess, any abuse is going to lead us into disorder, into illnesses. We see an epidemic of diabetes in the world. Why? Because we are abusing. We are eating more than we should, and we are exercising less than we should. Number three, many times you cry against hunger, and you spend considerable sums to misfit my functions and disrupt my services. How many of us, what is the size of our plates? How many times do you repeat, or do we repeat our meals in one meal? And we never think about those who have nothing. I remember when I was young, my grandmother used to say, her name is Amalia, and she used to say how important it is to always be grateful and never complain about anything when we are at a table. Do we do that? 4, do not fill me with excess. Carrying unnecessary weight, it is possible for us to fall today. Think about when we're eating, and if we discarnate right after finishing that meal, how hard is it going to be for us to actually discarnate? Very hard. Because in the very solar plexus, which is at the level of our stomach, we have, as Andre Luiz says in the book Evolution into Worlds, chapter 2, Andre Luiz talks about the production of vital fluid, of energy for the spirit. And not for the spirit per se, but the connection with the physical body, maintaining us here in the physical world. So if it is overloaded with food, it's going to use more vital fluid to digest, more energy, and thus create more problems for us to resume normal functioning. Number 5, do not make me a deposit of excessive condiment, seasoning. Obeying organic laws, I will transmit to your own blood the poisons you impose on me. So let's talk about the seasoning, spicy food. I see many people, the more spiritually immature, the more they like spicy food because they think it's like a thing of the ego. I'm so brave. I eat a lot of spices. I love spicy food. That is bad for the spirit. Humberto de Campos, in another message that talks about preparation for death, shares with us the importance of reading our food from spicy foods, exactly. And if you ask, oh, Vanessa, what about the cultures, Mexican or some parts of Asian food or Indian food? They always use a lot of condiments. We're learning with the good spirits that to evolve, we need to evolve in our habits of eating too. Nothing against seasoning, but it's saying excessive seasoning is poisoning to the blood. Now, let's talk about the blood. Our blood, in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship by Andre Luiz, he explains to us that our blood stream is the pathway through which the forces of our very conjunction with the perispirit go through. So when we receive passes, it is going to flow through the bloodstream as well. So if it's poisoned by a lot of excessive condiments, excessive seasoning, it's going to be very hard for us to live in a balanced way. Number 6, do not give me alcoholic drinks. If you do, I will not guarantee your own mind. So the stomach, yes, ingests alcoholic beverages. Why is he saying this? Because it affects our brain. As a neuroscientist myself, I understand that very easily. We say in neuroscience, we are what we eat, we are what we drink. And alcohol, even if it's a minor portion, still poisoning. Why? It dehydrates the cells, to say the least. It changes the neurochemistry. If you see the brain of a person who is used to drinking alcohol every day, some people say and claim that they drink just a little bit every day, but they are not dependent on it. But they can't pass a day without it either. That's dependency. That's addiction. And we understand that it's going to change our neuroactivation. It's going to change our gray matter as well. We see a study comparing the brain of people who drink every day and the people who do not. They shrunk in so many ways. And that's exactly what Andre Luiz said 60 years ago, way before neuroscience even had studies like this. So we better listen to Andre Luiz. Number 7, I beg you to keep me away from all drugs, except for exceptional treatments. A small pill for inconvenient rest can bring us closer to death. What is he saying, right? And maybe you just heard me talking about vaccine. Oh, Vanessa, what about the vaccine? It's nothing to do with the stomach right now. But he's talking about taking pills. How many people, they need to go to sleep? They're not feeling like sleeping. And then they go take ibuprofen night or Tylenol night or NyQuil. And I'm sorry to say, I'm not giving suggestions, but people use those mechanisms, even Benadryl, giving to children so they sleep tight throughout the night. No wonder we are seeing a lot of children with a lot of behavioral problems because they were drugged since they were babies. Oh, yeah. Because parents have no patience at all. And for us, he's talking about death. Marilyn Monroe didn't kill herself. Like Michael Jackson, she ingested drugs to sleep, to calm down, but it was too much. She died. You may have heard here at Cardiac Radio of the whole interview in which we rescued that very passage between Marilyn Monroe and Humberto de Campos, a psychographed by Chico Xavier, a beautiful interview in which she talks about misusing some drugs because she needed to sleep, and she ended up dying. Number 8, I neither desire nor can I feed myself exclusively with heavenly resources. I only ask you for discernment and balance. I neither desire nor can I feed myself exclusively with heavenly the resources. I only ask you for discernment and balance. Why is Andrea Luiz saying this? Because many people hear the recommendation and say, oh, what am I going to eat then? You see how rebellious we are? And that's why we're having this pandemic, because of our rebelliousness. We don't want to conform to the call of the times. And again, he's saying, not asking anything extraordinary, but discernment and balance. Number 9, govern me against the suggestions of the festive table. Even in the simplest family pleasures, I have with me the key to your own harmony. It's so real that when we are amongst friends and families, gatherings, not so much now with the pandemic, hopefully, we tend to indulge, but we need to moderate. I've seen people who are quite good at it. They eat a tiny piece of cake. That's it. Versus people who say, oh, I never eat anything, and then they eat all they want that day, and then they end up passing out or feeling bad. So he's saying, just govern me. This expression is one of the most valuable parts of this message, because he's saying this, and I will share the screen with you to recall something that we learned in the very book Evolution into Worlds by Andrea Luiz, when in the first chapter he says, we find in the universe two types of co-creators of major level, which are the archangels, engineers of above, etc., like Jesus. And there is us. We are still at the level of co-creators of minor level. And what is to be a co-creator at minor level? To learn, to master our own physiological body. What is it? The perispirit. So when Andrea Luiz is saying that the stomach is asking us to administer well the stomach, that's one of the main functions in life. To learn how to master the administration of our perispirit, thus the physical body, to the level that one day, like Jesus, he never got sick. Why? Because he was already co-creator major level. But you and I, one of the main functions in our reincarnation is to learn to master our relationship between mind and bodies. Mind and bodies. Exactly. So Andre Luiz is saying that we need to master this relationship with the body, our mind and our bodies. Number 10, do not tell me I will die of hunger because you do not have abundant table setting. For God's sake, do not forget that most illnesses come from the abundant plate, and that we do not live to eat, but we simply eat. We simply eat to live. What is the invitation for all of us today? It's very deep. It's about our mind-body's relationship. In the next 24 hours, we're going to use several occasions to verify how we're doing in regards to this co-creation at minor level. When we eat, we're going to treat as if we are feeding the dog, not as if we're feeding ourselves, because we spirits don't eat the food. We're giving it to the body. So when we are eating, it's as if we're giving food to our pet, the physical body. When we're taking a shower, we're not taking a shower. We're taking our body as a pet to bathe, to show. Wash, Virginia.
To wash the act like you're washing your pet.
Yes, exactly.
Or the fish's tank or the hamster's tank.
Exactly. Thank you, Virginia. So Virginia is reminding us when we are taking a shower, taking a bath every day, it's as if we're taking our dog, bathing it, or changing the aquarium water for the fish, etc. So it changes the perspective, and thus we can moderate our ingestion of food. Learning to eat simply to live and not the reverse. I know people who wake up thinking, what am I going to eat? And they spend the whole day thinking about the menus, what they're going to eat, what they're going to eat, what they're going to eat. That's a disease. They need help, psychological, nutritional help. We need to adjust the way we govern our physical body. What an invitation, only the Spirit of Truth. Yes, today we're given new resources to see how our physical bodies are being a true invitation to the regulation of our minds, to understanding how we're functioning, so we can one day, like Jesus, master so much the mind that our physical bodies, the spiritual bodies, never get sick. Till then, we have a lot of work. So let us begin, and in the next 24 hours, telling our physical bodies, thank you so much for everything that you do and at every step. As I hydrate you, as I give you food, as I bathe you, as I exercise you, I am giving you everything that you need so we can stay in this reincarnation as much as possible. What a blessing. So we want to thank God for bringing Andrea Luiz to this message today, with this message. And we want to thank our relationship here with you at Cardiac Radio. In this relationship, we are building together good currents, loving vibrations for the world, balancing everything. Thank you so much, friends. Until tomorrow, God willing.